Hey there, welcome to the UkeStuff channel and welcome to this full UkeGuide review of this instrument. This is the Klōs full carbon fiber concert ukulele. It was released in late 2023. Now before I begin, I am fighting a cold, so if my voice sounds a bit different, that's why, but I did want to get this review done here before the end of 2023 so I can release this right away in 2024. I also wanted to mention that I have reviewed Klōs's other tenor instruments, both the full carbon fiber, their hybrid version, which has a wood neck with a carbon fiber body, and their 8-string. Those reviews are here, and these instruments have been sent to me for review purposes, and as a result, I mark these as sponsored videos. So even though I'm not paid to review them, I do want to mention that these are sent to me for review purposes. I do want to mention also that they did send me this cable, which I'll use a bit later. It is a noiseless cable, so you can plug it in and out without causing a pop. This one I was allowed to keep, so I'll be using that later in the video as well. As this is being reviewed, this does go back, and I have reviewed the other instruments, and the only thing I've been allowed to keep is that cable, and they also sent me a Klōs t-shirt. So just so that's on the up and up as you watch this. Also, you might want to think about the fact that when a reviewer receives an instrument from a company to review, it does positively impact our thoughts about that company. Makes sense. So do be aware of those couple of things as you watch this video, in case you're like, I don't know if he's being honest. I'll be as honest as I can be with those things in mind, just so that you're aware, and then as you watch this, you can filter my comments through that and decide whether I'm being too optimistic, too negative, whatever. So let's go forward with this instrument. Klōs brought this out in late 2023, and I'm thrilled because I'm a concert player. Nothing wrong with tenor, nothing wrong with soprano, but the concert scale works and feels best to me. Totally preference. So no, I do not think that every company needs to make a concert ukulele, though most do. I don't think that everybody needs to buy a concert ukulele. I do think it's a good place to start for many players, and for me, it's a great place to live. So I'm very content with it, and I'm glad that they brought it out. One of my biggest complaints still about outdoor ukulele, and there are not many, is that they don't have a concert model. And I do understand it would probably be about $100,000 for them to tool up a new concert outdoor ukulele just so I could have one. So I get it. It's not a cheap process, and that's why I also appreciate Klōs going into that. Now, not only has Klōs released this, they've also released a baritone ukulele. Of course, they have guitars and did guitars first. There's also a mandolin. I am hoping to review the baritone in the future, so stay tuned. And the other thing that they've recently released is a timber pattern instead of the carbon fiber pattern. The only place I've seen it, other than their website, is I've also seen it on the Uke Republic. Mike at the Uke Republic did a video on the new timber pattern, and if you want to see it, go check it out on his webpage. I don't think it changes the sound at all, although I have been in touch with Klōs a little bit to see if they'd like me to do a head-to-head review, which I'd be happy to do as well, between the standard carbon fiber and this new timber pattern that they're allowing in the carbon fiber as well. Alright, so what we're going to do in this video is, first of all, look at some subjective categories that I look at with all instruments. Then I'll go over the specifications, and then I will do a summary and a rating out of 5 possible ukuleles. If you know me, I think you know where this is going, but nonetheless, let's begin the process. So let's begin with the subjective categories and begin with cost. Now, a standard carbon fiber concert ukulele is $12.49 on their website. If you want the acoustic electric package with the pickup, that bumps up the price to $13.89, and you can still add more extras on top of that. Now, you also get a Klōs branded gig bag, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So, value. Believe it or not, the price is better than the value. So you're getting more value for your money than you would think for a $1,000 plus ukulele. The only competitor in this market right now is Blackbird, the Blackbird Claro. And it starts off $500 more expensive than this. And I will do a comparison with my Blackbird Claro and with this ukulele in another video. A little bit of a spoiler alert. It's really hard to say if one is better than the other, but they're different. And my ear, believe it or not, gravitates many times towards this instrument. So that is something for you to check out in a future video. So ultimately, the value here is better than the price. So it's a good deal, at least a little bit, for a $1,000 ukulele. Now let's talk about build quality. Ultimately, it's a carbon fiber ukulele, and I can't see any flaws with it. So I'll just leave it as that. I do like the fact that it's gloss and black on black, which is what I liked about the other full carbon version. I did not like the color scheme of the hybrid. Total personal preference. But I do always like what they do. They make flawless products at Klōs. They're really well made. Another feature of these UkeGuide videos is I use a endoscope to take a look at the inside of the ukulele. Now the inside of an ukulele does not make it good or bad, but it does let you show the care that is used when you create an ukulele. And this is carbon fiber, which is a totally different process than, for example, building out of wood. But let's take a look at the inside of the ukulele. We'll look at the lower bout and then the upper bout just to see what's going on in there. So here we go. All right, there's your Klōs guitar label. And one of the cool things is the label is signed by the builder and the luthier, which is pretty cool. All right, so let's go on in and we'll take a look at the back, the bottom of the ukulele, and just let you see what's going on there. They do have an extra little piece of wood glued on the bottom there for your bottom strap button, which is made out of aluminum. There is your wiring for your pickup. If you notice, it is suspended in mid-air, so it's not going to vibrate against anything, so they've done really well there. You can see the carbon pattern on the sides and the bottom of the ukulele. It's not gloss in there, and that's pretty much all you're going to see. Let's see if we can see the strings up here. Yep, there's the strings that come through. You can see that you put in a little washer against, so it is a string through bridge, which means you put your strings through. If you curl them right, they pop right out of the sound hole. And then what you would do is you'd put on that little washer and then tie your knot, and the force is distributed against the back of the ukulele instead of on the bridge, and that makes for a much longer lasting connection without any chance of that bridge pulling off. So that's very good. All right, let's take a look at the upper bout of the ukulele. It can always be a little challenging to get up here, so let's take a look at what we've got. There are our controls for that Klōs pickup, and there is the neck coming through. Some kind of bolt there connecting it. You can see the back and sides. There's the label in the front. Really not much to see here that's holding it together, and I'm not sure if that's adhesive or what they use to connect carbon fiber together, but you can see it there. Doesn't seem to be any other bracing of any kind on the instrument. Doesn't need it because it's so strong, and that makes a big difference, I think, than some other materials. So, and with that, that's our quick look at the inside of this Klōs carbon fiber concert ukulele. In terms of appearance, well, it's carbon fiber. So in the combination, it's super plain, but it's also striking. But it's not so much so that it distracts away. And that also makes me interested in that timber pattern, because perhaps this is too high-tech for some people, and that sort of timber pattern would be more appealing. I don't know, it's an option. And I think that smaller Klōs headstock that does look a little strange on the tenor matches the concert better. I think that headstock works better. Now, there are some changes I'd like to see with appearance, and they're minor, but I'm just going to talk about them. First of all, I'd like to see black tuner buttons because I think that would work well. And I was looking at the website saying maybe Klōs, that's one of their brand images, that they have white tuner buttons. No, but they have other models with black buttons. So I would specify black buttons. The other thing that I would suggest is changing to a Misi pickup. The price would not be much more. Anybody willing to spend $13.89 would probably spend another $50 for a Misi pickup. Yes, you lose the tuner. Now, I have no problems with the tuner itself. I don't mind these. I like the fact that it's Klōs branded. But on the concert body, if you look, it doesn't fit in so well on the concert body. And that's not saying it's terrible. I mean, it's flat to it, but it just, that smaller curve doesn't really allow for this as well as I would like. They've done a nice job with it, but it doesn't totally fit, in my opinion. So if you just had a Macy pickup on the bottom, that was that rechargeable that you plug into your charger for a few minutes, charges enough to play 6 hours or whatever, I think that would be a better option, and the price difference wouldn't be that great. Again, I don't want them sitting with an entire case of Klōs tuners that they've ordered that they can't use. It would also have less wiring in the ukulele too. That's the danger with any pickup system, is that you have loose wires that rattle, right? So that would also solve that. But I think for me, it's generally an appearance thing. It just doesn't hug the contours like I would like it to. And I think a Misi would be a better option for that. Both of those things are really minor. The tuner and pickup combination work fine. I'll show you them later in the video. It doesn't look terrible, but I'd just like to see the Misi, I think, on the bottom. And otherwise, black tuners. That's really minor stuff, but it's small changes that could make a big difference. So that's what I would suggest. In terms of availability, if you want one of these, you just go to www.klosguitars.com. I believe that the build time is no more than a couple of weeks, a little bit longer for the new timber pattern that they offer. In terms of playability, overall, the playability is excellent. Very easy to play. The action is good. It's a 35mm nut, so if you're a person with huge hands, it may not be your thing if you're looking for a 38mm nut. I am used to this. This is the scale that I'm used to. It feels comfortable to me. And there's only one thing that would improve playability, which is that the neck is pretty deep. Now, I don't know if Klōs can change this or not, but I would like to see a little bit flatter profile, a little bit thinner profile of the neck, if possible. I don't know if it's possible. I am not an engineer, so I have not studied the design that's needed to support the strings on an ukulele. It is possible that the carbon fiber neck cannot be made much thinner without it cracking or something. So in other words, that may be a useless suggestion because it may not be possible. But if it is possible, I would like to see a slightly thinner neck profile, particularly around the first 5 to 7 frets. I understand if it needs to get thicker towards the body, but that would make the playability just that much better. The complaint about the neck is really minor, but it's true. I would like to see just a little bit thinner neck. Now, the sound quality here is excellent. It sounds really good. There are overtones. It's got sustain. It's well-rounded, it's got warmth, it's got brightness, it's not overly bright, even with fluorocarbon strings. Now, if you watch this channel, you know I get a little negative on D'Addario titanium strings. Not a fan of them. They're just thick, I don't like how they feel, and it's personal preference. These are D'Addario fluorocarbons, and I'm fine with them. I think they match the instrument well, I think they sound good, they play well, they feel good. It's a good match, so the right strings help too with that. Not a nylon-based string, but the fluorocarbon. And it's just a really, really good sound. Now, are there better sounding instruments on the market? Probably. But it's by a hair, not by much. They're all going to be in this price range or higher. And you're going to start to get into tone preference. So it's like when you hear people argue of whether they like koa, spruce, or cedar, it becomes more of a tone preference than it does an actual, like, is the sound good or bad? The sound is excellent here. If this was your only ukulele, which it could be, because it is darn near impervious to outward conditions, right? I mean, the electronics could fry if they got wet or something. Your tuners could have some issues if they got wet and not taken care of or something like that. But otherwise, the rest of this instrument, I mean, they drove a Prius. I put a clip of that in my review over the tenor. But when they were building these, they drove a Prius over the tenor's body and it didn't even break. Doesn't mean it didn't get scratched up or anything like that, but these are darn near indestructible. yes, a lot more than like an Nova or something like that, but even more indestructible than that. So these are instruments that can literally last multiple lifetimes, more than wood, because wood will become fragile with age, as we see the efforts to build a ukulele museum in Hawaii. Part of the concern there is caring for those instruments because they do get brittle over time. This one shouldn't, right? This should potentially last forever if taken care of. So, with that in mind, to have that sound quality from an instrument that you can literally take anywhere, anytime, and not have to worry about it's just amazing. So again, not quiet, it's not super loud, but you'll hear it in a group. I always compare instruments to koaloha. Koalohas are just so loud, and I love them. I love my koalohas, right? They're so loud. They're so loud. This is not koaloha loud, but it's also not quiet. It's not muted. It's not soft. It's balanced. It's not overly bright. It still has overtones. It's a really good sound, and a sound that certainly matches all the high-end ukuleles on the market. Another item that I do in these videos is I let you see what I'm hearing by playing the instrument into the app Tonal Energy Tuner on my iPad, and then you can see the Harmonic Energy series and what happens with the sound over time. I generally play an open chord, so on GCA instruments it'd be the C chord. Here we go. The two things I'm seeing is definitely a warm sound. It's rounded, warm sound. It's about 5 seconds of sustain before it fades out. And I'm hearing an overtone G, pretty high in the sound, that's sticking out in the sound. So it does have overtones. It is balanced. It is warm, but it definitely has some, that warm quality that perhaps its competitor doesn't, which again I will cover in another video. All right, now that we've talked about the subjective categories, let's get into the specifications. It is a concert ukulele with a scale length of 15.375 inches from nut to saddle. It has 19 frets with 14 to the body, and it does have side position markers in white, which is appreciated on the black. Let's see, what else? It also has those front position markers at 5, 7, 10, 12, and 15. And the body style is a standard double bout ukulele with a carbon fiber neck. I should mention that. The soundboard is carbon fiber. The body and sides are carbon fiber. The fretboard is what they call composite ebony, sort of like a tech wood, as is the bridge as well. It is a pull-through bridge, as you can see. The saddle is not compensated, just a straight saddle. The fretboard is not a radius fretboard, but it doesn't really need it. It plays very well even without having that radius. And the nut and saddle are new bone, that material. So new bone up there, new bone down there. It is a gloss finish. The overall length is 23.25 inches from tip to tail. So it, and that does, by the way, does not count the strap button there. It weighs 1 pound, 10.4 ounces. So it feels heavier than it really is. And it's balanced. You can see that. It's balanced from neck to body, which is really nice. It has composite tuners. I do not know if they are the Graphtec tuners. They are not labeled as such. The tuners work great. And my one complaint is that I wish that they were black buttons. That's, again, really, really minor stuff that I'm bringing up here. The action at the first fret, I had to measure it a few times, is 0.19 millimeters. That is unbelievably low. So if you want to play a bar chord at the first fret, you hardly have to touch, and you've got it. But there's no buzzing. So if I play as hard as I can play, there's no buzzing. So that setup it's mind-blowing. That's incredibly low action. And the action at the 12th fret is 2.30 millimeters, which is on the lower end, not the lowest that I've seen, but super easy to play up high. Good level here at the 12th fret, so you're able to pick with ease and you're able to bar with ease. Most manufacturers can't get to that level of perfection with the action at the nut end without causing buzzing. Yeah, 0.19 is just, yeah, and I took out my digital gauge and checked it 4 or 5 times to make sure I was reading it right. And 0.19, yeah, it's amazingly low action. The nut width is 35 millimeters. It's 35.03 millimeters. And the space between strings at the first fret, so you can kind of know what you're working with here, is 9.18 millimeters between each string, which is pretty roomy, making for 29.16 from G to A. So, you're approaching that 28 to 30 millimeter spacing at the first fret, which is, again, pretty common throughout most 35 millimeter neck ukuleles. Now, the other thing I checked is the depth of the neck at the 3rd fret. And so if you go from the top of the strings to the bottom of the neck at the 3rd fret, it's 21.63 millimeters, which is where I say I would love to see that in the 20s or the 19s at that point, because I think that's the one thing that would help this instrument be even more playable than it is, would be just a slightly thinner neck. And those are really minor suggestions, because the instrument by itself is pretty wonderful. Let's see, the other things I should mention is it does include, again, aluminum strap buttons. The pickup system is an option, and you get a gig bag. So let's talk about the gig bag for a moment. Again, I don't mean to be super picky. Overall, the gig bag is very nice. Gig bag is very nice. So, and it's included now with the base price, which I really like as well. So this is all good. Nitpicky things. I wish they could come up with a logo that said Klōs ukuleles instead of guitars, because we as ukulele players tend to have a little bit of a sensitive mindset towards people calling our instruments little guitars. Ricky Sanborn made a bunch of videos about tiny guitar ukuleles and things like that. So I'd like to see that say ukuleles. Minor. I would like a hanging tab. It is beneficial to me to have a tab here to hang the case up with. In a number of situations. I would like to see a padded strap. The strap is fine. I don't care if there are 2 straps. One is fine for me, quite honestly. But I'd like to see this padded. And if you've ever walked around with an ukulele all day at a music convention or an ukulele convention or something else where you're traveling with it, having some padding there is just nice. The handle, fine. It's lightly padded, good enough. In fact, if that level of padding could be added somehow to this strap, be perfect, right? I would like to see a little bumper on the bottom of the bag, because again, you set it down and stuff, and it's nice to have a slight barrier between your bag and the ground. If the ground is slightly wet or something, rain, you name it, that would be really, really nice. And other than that, the only other improvement I'd like to see in the bag is that it would open completely all the way up. You sort of have to feed the instrument up and in, which is not so convenient. So I'd like to see that. Now, other than that, and I know that sounds like this huge list of complaints, but when you have a gig bag for a product that's so good, I'd like to see those other changes. There are so many other really neat things with this gig bag. Big pocket. It has like organization things in it. There's multiple pockets hidden in it like that. But like they have a spot where you can like arrange things in there, like extra strings and stuff, and keep a pen and things like that. You could probably keep some like leather picks or felt picks. This is really nice. The padding is nice. There's a whole nother really long storage thing up there. There's this strap where you could throw some extra gear or like a collapsible stand to take with your ukulele on. So there's a lot. The pull tabs with the little, fabric things are really nice. So there's a lot that's nice with this gig bag. It's a good quality gig bag. I just would like to see some improvements with it. So I hope that's not complaining too much about it. We should also take a second to just play with the electronics and let you hear what that sounds like. So let me get things set up here. All right, so I have everything set up. I have a large portable speaker that I use with my ukuleles. I have the Klōs silent cable. The volume is up, so I just want to demonstrate this again. Klōs sells these separately, but you plug it in, you don't get any clunk, which is really nice. And here are the strings through an amplifier. Might be a little bit of extra sensitivity on the E string, but just playing a little bit, and I'm turning down the volume here a little bit on the pickup itself, and maybe up more on the amplifier. The amplifier is all the way up, and I'm not running anything else. I'm running directly into the amplifier from the preamplifier here. So. So it works, and that top string is coming through as well. Definitely a little extra sensitivity on the E string. All right, I'm going to turn this down now and turn it off, and let's move to the summary and the UkeGuide rating for this instrument. As always, I just want to again mention that Klōs did send this one to me for review, and as I record this, it is going back. Although again, I would not mind keeping this one. This is excellent, excellent instrument. My personal choice for instrument scale is concert, so this is for me. I mean, this is what I would be interested in. I would not be buying the tenor, would not be buying the baritone. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with those people that do, but this is my preferred scale choice. It is an amazing ukulele. It plays well. It sounds great. It looks amazing, and it's darn near indestructible. So I have minor suggestions for changes, and nothing of these change the ratings. So I'd like to see black tuner buttons. I'd like to see a Misi pickup. I'd like to see some changes in the gig bag, and I wouldn't mind if the neck were thinner. That's a pretty small shopping list of things, and some that are easily taken care of by the company. I'd also like to see them, by the way, sell a ukulele strap that's 1 inch. Generally, you can buy sort of a wider strap, but really for me, the 1 inch straps are really the zone that I like. That feels best to me with an instrument such as the UkeStuff straps that I had made by Killer Q some years ago. So generally, that is the size strap that I like to play with, as personal preference. So I love to see them include like a 1 inch strap with Klōs, the logo, all over the strap. I mean, why not get the advertising? I know people would do that as well. And again, we've talked about, you can watch the video earlier if you want to, about all the suggestions about the bag. The bag is excellent. I would just like to see some things different on it. So with all that said, this instrument is darn near perfect. Nothing is perfect in the world, right? So what does it get? For me, this is a 5 out of 5. If you have the money to buy this kind of ukulele, and you want something that you really don't have to worry about playing, but is going to sound excellent, look excellent, play excellent, you can't go wrong here. It's amazing. And the biggest fear you have is that somebody steals it, right? And that's true of any $1,000. Heck, it's true of any instrument in general. But when you get to the price range of $1,000, that's where you start thinking, oh, can I take that? Because I don't know if I can keep it secure at this event or whatever. But in the big scheme of things, as an instrument that's rugged, that's going to withstand nearly anything, and at its value comparatively to its closest competitor, it's a no-brainer if you're going to be shopping for this sort of instrument. Highly, highly recommended. All right, I would again like to thank Klōs for sending this to me for review purposes. This is amazing. You guys are doing great work. Please don't be offended at my suggestions here, because this is so close to perfection that with a couple tweaks, literally it has the potential to be the perfect non-wood instrument. And to the rest of you, thank you for watching the video. I know these are long, but nonetheless, if you never want to watch the whole thing, you can skip ahead with the chapters. And of course, there's the UkeGuide on UkeStuff.info that you can watch anytime. So thanks again for watching the video. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more Uke stuff for you.